Welcome to another endorphin-generating episode of Fearless TV, the program that knows more about extreme sports than you could jackhammer onto the head of an aspirin. Coming up in the next half hour, we'll get the pulse racing in thin air with more extreme altitude exertion. There's big-time canoe drop-ins as we go for the waterfall. And a glimpse of life in the extra fast lane with street luge. All this and more on Fearless TV. Leathers are a handy piece of equipment to have in any sport involving extreme speed and any hard abrasive surface. Motorcycle racing may immediately come to mind, but we have something a little closer to the ground for you. Street luge. Like all good extreme sports derived from skateboarding, street luge has its origins in California, where a hardcore element of skateboarders has long been lying flat on their boards in the search for ever-increasing speed. Originally called coffining for obvious reasons, maximum speed on a street luge in the early days of development was restricted by speed wobbles, caused by the instability of the deck transferring movement to the small diameter wheels, and in turn high-speed wipeouts. This problem has been partially solved in recent times with specially built reinforced sleds with additional bracing in high-stress areas, along with harder compound wheels mounted on floating axles. This prevents wheel and bearing meltdown, which often occurs when higher speeds are encountered, and at 70 plus miles per hour can have disastrous results. Mountain bike technology would have to be one of the most rapidly evolving branches of bike development on the planet at the moment, and with its close links to motocross and suspension and frame similarities, improvements are rapidly passed on not only to the competitive field, but to recreational riders as well. Tyres are also becoming more and more like their traditional motocross counterparts, translating to better grip on all terrain encountered, and in turn increased control and speed over the mountain. Downhill in particular relies heavily on an ability to negotiate difficult terrain or obstacles at speed, especially when cornering in loose and sometimes muddy conditions. With onboard discs and greater suspension travel laced to higher diameter front forks for stability, spearing over the bars after dabbing the brakes on a rough downhill stretch has become a thing of the past. Well, almost. Otherwise, how would downhill events attract spectators? Recreational riders are more and more quickly becoming equal to the task, having grown confident in the ability of their machines to perform well, in turn lifting the standard of competition around the world. Back on the edge now for one of the more specialised and demanding snow sports, snowboard slalom. Many factors come into play at high speed on a longer, stiffer board when attempting to negotiate a particular sequence of gates in the fastest possible time. Snow condition and starting order play a large part, as conditions and snow speed vary according to temperature, which generally increase from morning onwards, changing the way wax performs on the board, much like tyres on a car. Edge-to-edge control is also vital on a demanding slalom course, as cornering too wide or too deep can mean the difference between first and fifth place when every second counts. Precise weight transfer and extreme commitment to the chosen line are the race's strategy for attacking each course, and must be carefully determined before each race to ensure maximum possible outcome. Here's a couple of slightly more serious ways to check whether you've got the correct base on your board. Back in the New Zealand Alps now to continue our expedition at medium altitude. Although the air at this level still provides relatively good oxygen content, the dangers of avalanches and extreme weather conditions are still present. With each step sometimes depending solely on leverage gained by the placement of an ice axe or foothold, the room for error is minimal, and the environment presents all the conditions experienced on a Himalayan climb in slightly milder conditions. In fact, many of the most experienced climbing expeditions in the world today utilise the New Zealand Alps as a training ground when attempting to conquer the most inaccessible climbs on the planet.
Okay? I had no idea what I was getting into. That's the thing about rappelling. You really never know what. I know. I don't know how to describe this, guys. I think the best advice I can give myself is just calm. I'm gonna get calm here. Okay, here we go. Just gotta do it. Oh, the rope is hooked up in a rock. Here we go.
Here's another sport not yet officially sanctioned by the Olympics. This could be called cliff canoeing. Deep powder snow serves as an excellent way of refining technique on a snowboard. Apart from providing a new challenge for experienced riders, a few long, deep carving turns on an unspoilt terrain quickly brings back the feeling of what snowboarding is all about. High-speed heel-side carves and big hits off wind-blown banks, with the occasional 20-foot drop-off or transition, can quickly sharpen the senses, and another long day at the office is soon forgotten. Time to break out the bike helmets and the plastic boats as we go in search of some hardcore canoe action, finding big air on the way down instead of the traditional direction of up. To get the big drops required for the kind of rush and touchdown we're looking for requires taking a whole new approach about being precious about the bottom of your boat, as the launching places for any type of radical descent generally don't feature a huge volume of water flow.
Remember, you denied
The skill elements required for extreme canoeing range from an extreme acute sense of balance both on the water or rock face to an ability to resurface in the most difficult of conditions. In waterfall drop-offs, the ability to control the canoe in the air is also a must, as the bow should preferably enter the water at the right angle. Paddles are usually offloaded to prevent injury in landing, especially in the face area.